Can I ask you something? Just between us. Have you ever looked around and wondered why life can feel so completely different for two people, even when on the surface, everything seems the same? I mean, really think about it. They might have the same job, live in the same neighborhood, face the same kinds of challenges. But one person just seems to flow. They grow with this quiet, steady peace. And the other person? It feels like they're constantly fighting a current, just trying to keep their head above water. What is that one thing, that one tiny variable that changes everything?
If that question hits home for you, then I'm so glad you're here. We are about to dive deep into that mystery together. So before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Heart City. That way, you become part of this discovery with us. Okay, let's find that answer.
Well, thousands of years ago, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was asked this exact question, and his answer, it all comes down to one single, incredibly powerful word: Shraddha. Now hold on, because when we hear a word like faith or Shraddha, our minds immediately jump to religion, right? To ceremonies and rituals, but that's not what Krishna is talking about. He's pointing to something way more personal, more fundamental. It's the invisible blueprint of your beliefs. It's your internal compass that's silently guiding every single choice you make, all day, every day. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at this. On one side, you have everything we're told shapes our life: our education, our job, our family, maybe even just good or bad luck. But Krishna flips the script entirely. He says the main driver isn't any of that outside stuff. It's your Shraddha. Your inner belief system is the thing that dictates everything else.
So if this inner faith is the real powerhouse, where do we actually see it in action? And you might be surprised here. It's not just in big, life-altering moments. It shows up in the most ordinary, mundane parts of our lives. Krishna gives us this amazing map to understand our inner world. He breaks our faith down into 3, let's call them flavors. First, you have Sattvic faith. This one is all about clarity, balance, and a genuine desire for truth and growth. Then there's Rajasic faith. This is the fiery one, fueled by desire, ambition, and ego. It's that relentless drive for power and recognition. And finally, we have Tamasic faith, which is born from a place of confusion, neglect, and ignorance. See? Our faith isn't just this one-size-fits-all thing. It has a texture, a quality that literally colors our entire experience of life. Okay, so that's the big idea. But now let's bring this down to earth. How does this actually play out in our real, tangible, messy, everyday lives? This is where it gets super practical and, honestly, a little eye-opening. Let's start with something we all do: eat. A Sattvic faith shows up on your plate. It's a preference for foods that create clarity, things that make you feel light, calm, and truly energized. This is the faith that guides you to choose whole, natural foods, to eat mindfully, not just to stuff yourself, but to actually nourish your body and your mind. And then there's Rajasic food. The fuel for restlessness. We all know this one. It's the super spicy, super salty, super stimulating stuff. It's that third cup of coffee you know you don't need, but you grab it to power through a deadline. It's the bag of chips you devour after a stressful meeting. This food gives you a jolt, a burst of energy, for sure, but it almost always leaves you feeling agitated and just wanting more. It might create success, but it almost never creates peace. And finally, Tamasic food. This is the fuel for dullness. We're talking about food that's stale, heavy, processed. The fast food you grab because it's just easy. The leftovers that have been sitting in the back of the fridge for maybe a little too long. It fills your stomach, yeah, but it leaves your mind feeling foggy, lethargic, confused. It literally dims your inner light. And get this, the exact same pattern shows up in how we give to others. A Sattvic person gives from the heart, with no strings attached. A Rajasic person gives, but they make sure someone's there to see it. They want their name on the building. And a Tamasic person? They might give carelessly, without any real thought, or even give something that could do more harm than good. The action might look the same, but the inner Shraddha changes its very essence. This inner faith even shapes our idea of discipline. Krishna explains that true discipline isn't about harsh self-punishment. It's about a gentle alignment. For your body, it means listening to it, giving it rest, giving it nourishment, not just forcing it to perform. For your speech, it's about speaking your truth, but with kindness. It's about avoiding that juicy gossip that just stirs up your own mind. And for the mind itself, it's not about wrestling your thoughts into submission. It's about gently, calmly guiding your focus back to what feels peaceful and true. This is the real practice.
So after hearing all of this, you might be thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Well, the first step is so beautifully simple. It doesn't ask you to change a single thing. It just asks you to look within.
Here's your first step. Just observe. Just for today, watch your own choices like you're a friendly scientist with zero judgment. And just ask yourself, what flavor of faith is guiding me right now? When I reached for that donut, what was really behind that choice?
And then maybe you can zoom out a little bit. Look at the bigger picture of your life. Do your habits, your food choices, the way you talk to people, does it generally lead you toward a feeling of clarity? Or do you find yourself feeling a little foggy and confused a lot of the time? And finally, just check in with your heart. At the end of the day, do your habits leave you with a sense of inner peace? Or do they just fuel that hamster wheel of restlessness, that feeling of always needing the next thing? Just noticing, that's where the magic starts.
Because, you see, the goal of all this looking inward isn't to beat yourself up. Not at all. The goal is to gently move toward a state of conscious living, a life where our choices are intentional, not just automatic reactions.
And what does that even look like? Well, Krishna paints this absolutely beautiful picture of a person with an evolved faith. They are peaceful, but they are not a doormat. They're disciplined, but they're not rigid or cruel to themselves. They are confident in who they are, but without that noisy, arrogant ego. I mean, doesn't that just sound like a beautiful way to live?
And this leads us to the most powerful realization of all. Your lifestyle, it's not just a random jumble of habits you picked up along the way. Every single choice, from the coffee you drink in the morning to the words you choose at night, is a brick. And you are the one laying those bricks. You are the architect of your own spirit.
So today, Krishna has given us the blueprint. He's explained our identity, our nature, and how it all shows up in our habits. But in our final explainer, he brings it all home, answering Arjuna's very last doubts and tying everything together. If any part of this conversation made you pause and think today, please do me a favor and like this, and maybe share it with one person you think might need to hear it. And to feel connected with everyone else on this journey, just comment with the word Shraddha below. And of course, please make sure you're subscribed to Heart Siddhi. You really don't want to miss the powerful conclusion to this whole journey. By subscribing, you can continue exploring with us and keep learning how to build your own beautiful spiritual architecture, one conscious choice at a time.